everybody, to another episode of Intentional Design. I'm really excited for the opportunity to introduce everybody to the one and only and awesome Samantha Goldstein. Samantha, thank you so much for being here today. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourself?
I am so glad to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. I am a former higher ed professional. My entire career up until about 7 months ago was in higher education. So I've done everything from academic advising, consulting, marketing, sales, and now I work in corporate. And I am currently a trainer and onboarding expert for thousands of new hires coming into a sales role at a major social media marketing company. So I pivoted from one to the other, and I am currently here in Chicago.
Fantastic. And Samantha, is it okay to say where you work?
I think so. So all my opinions today are my own opinions, but I work at LinkedIn. So I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but that's where I work.
Fantastic. And in looking at LinkedIn, at your bio, so Samantha and I have known each other for a long time, and we've actually met in real life, which I'm grateful for, because with COVID, a lot of us haven't met in real life that work together in the world of work. But on your bio, it actually says Samantha prioritizes, easy for me to say, kindness, tenacity, and innovation, and is energized by helping others succeed. And I can absolutely positively say that in every instance or opportunity that we've had to talk to each other or work together, I have seen you in action, and you are absolutely living those words.
Thank you.
Yeah. So today I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things, because your new role at LinkedIn, meshed with your background in higher education, creates a really interesting opportunity for us to talk about intentional design, but in the context of the corporate sector. And so I'd love to hear from you what you're learning about innovative initiatives in that corporate space that should maybe be on everyone's mind as we think about the future of learning in general.
Absolutely. So it has been, some ways it's been totally different. In other ways, it's kind of been really familiar and comforting in that way. The two big things that I have been really grappling with have been one, the importance of stakeholder management, and two, the idea of having a baseline common understanding of how important training and development is. So for me, stakeholder management, I'm not a trained instructional designer, but I know enough to be dangerous. And in everything I've ever read, I saw there was kind of, the ADDIE model and planning and getting people on board. But when you're talking about getting people on board in a corporate environment and aligned to a training and development mission, it is so much bigger than I ever possibly dreamed of. So things like communication becomes really important. Proactive feedback loops become really important. And all the things that I had seen up until this point kind of glossed over the idea of stakeholder alignment. There was an assumption that everybody was like, yes, training and development is super important. We're going to invest in it the way that we should. And we all have a common understanding of what success looks like on the back end. So in higher education, there's a shorthand, right? You get a degree, you have a degree plan, you get research dollars, and you know you're productive and you're good at it because you're able to hit these really obvious milestones.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm learning in corporate America is that no one is completely aligned on the milestones. And you can look at revenue as one indicator of success, but when you're talking about a day-to-day onboarding journey or training journey for a new hire, everybody has different opinions about what that should look like, how to measure it, and how to iterate on it in the future. So for me, I'm taking all that higher education expertise and trying to sometimes align corporate a little bit more with higher education, but also seeing places where higher education's rigidity sometimes limits the innovation that's possible when it comes to intentional design and measuring success and bringing people on a journey. And so for me, it's been surprising and challenging, but in ways that I think that higher education background really helped me leverage and move things forward in a thoughtful, collaborative way.
That is fascinating. And I love how you wove together your higher ed experience to really get you to where you are right now at LinkedIn. What are some of the bigger challenges? Because your role is relatively new to you, right? And you've onboarded, I don't know, the last time we talked, I think it was thousands. of people in a short amount of time. So what are some of the bigger challenges that you've grappled with?
Yeah, I think this is similar to higher education in one way, in that it's about resilience. So, what we stood up, this program is a reflection of it used to be an in person training. You'd fly everybody to a location and you'd get all these new hires onboarded and you'd wine and you'd dine them. And obviously, with COVID, that went away. And structures were built as a stopgap. But now we're kind of hitting this belief and understanding of, okay, we're going to hybrid workforce. So, our company is very much hybrid first. We trust people to do their work wherever they are, and we're not going to force people to come back to the office. So onboarding is going to be virtual or hybrid for the foreseeable future. So we're looking at now, okay, how do we pivot this into resilience? And people have been, I think, burned by their experience onboarding virtually. I onboarded virtually. It was the hardest experience of my professional career. I did consulting. Like, I survived consulting, and this was somehow even harder than that. And so you've got this issue of resilience. You've also got this issue of institutional knowledge. So there's this change happening across the market, that great reshuffle is happening. And you've got this challenge where managers are leaving, cultural champions are leaving, or they're going on to their next play. And we celebrate that. That's a really exciting thing. But when those folks are leaving, it creates a vacuum of, okay, who's going to be the new manager? Are they ready to onboard this many people? Do they know what it takes to make that happen? And so that's when you start to get into this whole issue of it takes a village to do this
Mhm.
work. So you're not just working with managers, but also other experienced hires, people seeking leadership opportunities. And so, how do you create an environment where everybody's bought into this vision of what's possible and willing to put in the work to make a new hire feel welcome and be successful in the role? And those are, you can institute a program tomorrow, but those are about the relationships piece that really energizes me of, how do I convince people to do this work? If I can't pay them more, what else can I offer them to make it meaningful? So that's where it's really hairy for me, is it's about these things that are outside of my control. And I'm really lucky that I'm surrounded by people who are very talented, who can do this work, but getting everybody on the train to go there is really difficult and fun.
I love that you said fun.
It's fun.
Challenges are fun sometimes, because they create opportunities, right, for us to think differently and strategically and try new things. At iDesign, we've always been remote. Since our inception, our learning design team has been situated all over the United States. And so for us, there was no change during the pandemic. There was, we were used to working remotely, but I can imagine that that was a huge shift for a lot of individuals who were in the corporate sector. And you talked about your own onboarding experience being challenging. When you think about that, what are some takeaways? What are some key things that you think of that were challenging that corporations or higher education could be thinking about when it comes to the future of remote work to make that better for people as they come on board as we go forward in this new normal, whatever that is?
So for me, the biggest part of it was, I'm very sensitive to the idea of political capital. So when you're new, you have 6 to 9 months of being like, I don't know what's going on. I'm the baby here. Like, I can't make decisions. And when you're in this environment where things are happening so quickly and you're having to wrangle people you've never met in person, you've never bought them a beer, and now you have to go ask them for a favor, you have to kind of get over that hurdle of, I don't know anything, and be empowered to start spending social capital and political capital that you don't know if you have. And so I think the first thing, as organizations are thinking about onboarding new hires, it's, how do you empower your new hires to start building relationships and asking for what they need early and often in a thoughtful way. And that's like a social intelligence challenge that is huge, but it's critical. If you're working on cross-functional teams or projects, you need to empower your new hires to be able to do that. I also think there's a definite need for structures beyond one onboarding team or a management team doing the work of welcoming new hires. It's a organizational level of responsibility, and it's something that you don't just do once, right? You're doing it monthly, weekly. You're bringing them on board, you're level setting, and you're supporting them on their journey. And so I think with that, there's definitely a need to build out structures that are a release valve on managers. So having a more experienced individual contributor step in as a buddy. I had a buddy in my onboarding journey, and he was my safe space where I could be like, what is happening here? How can I understand who to talk to get this resolved? He helped me be a safe place to make that happen. And I appreciate that. And I would say the third thing is that the future is going to have to look interactive in a way that people are dropping the word hybrid in a way that maybe seems a little bit scary to me. We're coming from a higher education background. When I hear hybrid, oh, I get like the hives a little bit. But when these companies are thinking about the future, I think there's an opportunity to leverage flying people in, making it optional, having something that is more compact or intensive or just social, just making people have a fun time with each other and then sending them home again to do other things via Zoom. So I think having creativity and realizing that human connection and relationships need to be cultivated in different types of delivery is just super critical. And it's not just butts and seats, it's about fostering trust, community, belonging, and being on that journey as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting my team in person, hopefully in the next couple months. I haven't yet. And for me, that's a big milestone that I'm looking forward to. And I think it's going to help me be even more successful in my role, hopefully.
Okay, Samantha, those were some great little nuggets of wisdom for people to take away, because that's how you would intentionally design the future of remote or hybrid work, with routines and structures, some easy ways for people to get social and interactive with one another so that they can manage remote work going forward, or hybrid, to your point earlier. I think it's just high flex that gives me the hives.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I got them again when you said it. But that you're right, that intentionality and that recognition of it doesn't have to be all work or all play. It can be a combination, but it has to be a choice that we're making intentionally, or else it's just gonna feel messy.
Isn't life already messy enough?
Yeah, can we just like rein in one thing to make it a little bit less messy? I'd be a fan of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Samantha, for joining us today. It was great to see you again, and I look forward to working with you again in the future.
Thanks, Whitney. Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.